Mr. President, colonialism and all forms of imperialism must be addressed by the United Nations. For one of the reasons why the United Nations systems was created was to develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principles of equal rights and self-determination of peoples. Therefore, colonial rule is obsolete and must be addressed with new drive and vision. The United Nations, as well as the international community, must continue in their efforts to address issues of decolonization in those non-self-governing territories who are still yearning for freedom. The mandate of the Special Committee on Decolonization must be strengthened, and all means should be accorded to the committee to allow it to magnify the suppressed voices of the peoples in all non-self-governing territories who are still under the control of administrative powers, especially where human rights violations are reported. My country, Vanuatu, was the last in the Pacific region to be decolonized. Since our independence in 1980, we have continued to speak out for the inalienable rights of the colonized indigenous people of Oceania, and in certain parts of the Asian region where either administrative or colonial powers still retain authority. Mr. President, my government also calls upon the United Nations to ensure that demands for French Polynesians' right to self-determination are not rejected. We, along with many other Pacific Island nations, support calls for the reinscription of the French-administered territory with the United Nations Special Committee on Decolonization. This would be the first major step in the process of self-determination. Vanuatu encourages the French-administered territory of French Polynesia, and in the same spirit that of New Caledonia, to continue to seek meaningful dialogue with France in order to find ways to ensure that freedom of the colonized peoples of Oceania is fully realized. Embedded among the core principles of the UN Charter, this organization must guarantee universal respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all the oppressed. The universal pursuit of democratic reforms, good governance, and adherence to human rights convention have often concealed the sufferings of many people, denying them the right to decide their destiny without fear and reprisals. The United Nations must step in its efforts to exercise their freedom from the tentacles of foreign rule, a misgiving so troublesome in these modern times. One day, and I said one day, all the indigenous people of Oceania and beyond must reach their destination of freedom, a destination promised to all humanity, a right that the Creator endowed upon all the peoples, and a right that no earthly power can deny, where they could live and be self-ruled in free association with the international community of nations. Mr. President, let me take this opportunity once again to reiterate to this eminent UN Assembly our serious concerns over the infringement by foreign forces on the political freedom of many of our nations today, a right